Hey everyone, I'm Gaz. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a demonstration video on how to make friction fire with a bow drill kit. So first things first, you need a bow, a drill, a half-board, a bearing block, an ember pan, and then a nice waxy leaf to lubricate the system. I've also got mine sitting on top of a palm frond just to make some solid ground because I'm on soft sand. I've made this kit from beech hibiscus, which is what I've got growing here next to me. It's a really lightweight wood, got a good fibre density in the wood, and you press it with your thumb and just make a small indentation. So the half board and the drill are made from the same piece of wood. The rest of the kit doesn't matter what you make it from too much. The bearing block ought to be harder than your drill, and the bow about an arm's length, maybe from your hand to your sternum if you want a slightly longer bow. Not too curved and also not too straight. And I've just got a piece of paracord on to form the string. The ember pan is just any small piece of wood or a dry leaf to catch the ember. And for the lubricating leaf, I'm using beech almond because it's nice and waxy. But try different leaves. Some are too dry and crumbly, so they don't really work too well. So first of all, I need to bed in my drill into my half board. So I've got a narrow pointy tip and then a shorter, fatter pointy tip. This shorter tip is going to be the business end going down into the half board. And the narrow tip is because we want minimal friction at the top of the system. So a pointy tip means that there's less surface contact. You'll notice when you start using the set that this gets rounded off, and the temptation is to try and carve a round hole in your half board to seat the drill. But the action of using the set will do that for you. It's much easier to put a point onto the tip, and then you just need a small tip, a knife tip hole in your half board to seat the drill. And then I'm not trying to make fire at this stage, I just want to burn it in so that I can see where the hole is going to be, and then I can carve one of these notches in to collect the ember powder. So taking the pointy end in my left hand, coming up through the inside of the string, I can then wrap it around, and then I have it running on the outside of the string. That means that I've got the full length of the bow to use. If it was on the inside, the drill would stop every time it gets here. And every time I change direction, it means that the drill is stopping, and so I'm not generating heat. So I want to be able to have that little bit of extra room to move each side. A little bit of leaf into the bearing block. And then paying attention to my position, I've got nice clear space in front of me and behind me so that I can work without hitting the drill and anything. I've got my first leg in 90 degrees and then my rear leg right behind it, so my knees in line with my heel, and then my rear foot is kicked out like a kickstand so that I've got some stability and I'm not wobbling around. This arm wraps around my leg to give maximum contact so that it's nice and stable, and this natural nook between my thumb and my forearm can just sit against my shin and it gives me a lot of stability. Then I can press down through my shoulder and my knee to get some weight down on the bearing block. And I can squeeze my hand around the bow, pressing down on the string with my thumb to give a little bit more tension and grip the string to the drill. See, I'm generating smoke already and there's some powder forming, so I know the set's working well. It's running nice and smoothly, there's not a lot of noise or squeaking. That's all I need. So you can see it's burned in a hole and it's rounded off the tip and burn that too. So my two contact points are really nicely fitting now, and I know that they're going to generate the heat I need to make a fire. The next stage is to carve a notch to collect the ember powder. This is going to be roughly the same dimensions as the tip of my bushcraft knife, and coming almost to the centre of that hole. If you go all the way to the centre, you'll often find that you leave an unburnt nipple on the tip of your drill, which is wasted energy. It means that we could be generating friction there. So if we come just off centre, it means that we maximise that usable space. Now I have a notch about the same size as the tip of my knife, and the set's ready to use. Before launching into it, I want to make sure that I've got a good supply of tinder ready. So this is the husk from inside a coconut. I've got loads of it that I've been drying out on the beach all afternoon in the sun. So it's really bone dry, ready to go. And I can even prepare a tinder bundle, and then I'll keep some excess so that I can add it to it if I need to. And then I've also got the next stage, which is just the outside shell and some husk from the coconut as well. So I'm just going to rough this up and increase the surface area, breaking apart all those fibres. And then I want to create a thick pad where I can make a little depression and that's where my ember is going to sit. Once I place it in, I can then fold it over, and it means that there's lots of material behind the ember and a little tail that I can hold on to. So it gives me something safe to hold, and it means there's material there that the ember can burn up towards, and there's also an air hole so I can breathe through it, give it plenty of oxygen, and even waft it in the air and let the wind do some work for me. Okay, so I'm going to lubricate my bearing block again, get another leaf in there, get it all nice and juicy. And then again, paying attention to the position, and also now paying attention to the direction of the wind, because as soon as I start blowing into my tinder bundle, I don't want the smoke blowing straight back in my face. So we've got a gentle breeze coming in from the sea, so it should all blow that way. And this time I want my ember pan underneath to catch the ember powder. And then same position. Something you might notice I tend to do is I'll put more effort on the backward draw. That's because my arm is braced against my leg that way, so I've got much more stability and I can put a lot of power into the movement, and then I can relax as I come forwards, and it means that it's a really sustainable pace. So if the set was struggling to heat up and make an ember, I'd be able to keep going for longer. What a lot of people often do is just go flat out too quickly and they burn out, and you'll see them puffing and panting and they can't sustain the effort, whereas hopefully I'll be able to do this without breaking a sweat and able to breathe and talk at the same time. So you can see it's starting to generate smoke, and I've got black powder filling up that notch. I'm not working hard, I can breathe, I can talk. And the notch is already full, and I can see that the ember powder that's formed is already smoking, which means that I could stop here. I can even see it glowing, so I've got fire already. I'm going to keep going because I've got plenty in the tank, and it means that I can just guarantee myself a nice big ember that'll make it a lot easier taking it to flame. Pop that down. And this burnt tip is precious now. We've cooked it and we know that it makes fire, so we want to put it somewhere safe. So don't put it in wet ground, just prop it up somewhere so that it's not going to get damp. And right now this is quite fragile, so I want to be careful with it, but you also don't need to rush. So another big mistake that people do is throw this into an ember pile while it's still powder, and it scatters. So we're just going to let it sit there, let it glow, and it will start to consolidate and pull in more material and get stronger and stronger. I'm just going to lift the half cord away carefully so it can breathe. Give it a gentle waft. I can see that the smoke's actually blowing this way, so the wind's changed direction slightly, so I'm going to bear that in mind when I start blowing into my tinder bundle. Should hopefully be able to see that glowing on the camera now. I'm going to place it into the middle of my tinder bundle. folded in over the top. Seems the smoke's changed direction again. You can see it's burned through the top, so I can just add some more material. And we have fire. And then I can just add some of these husks to the top. Give myself a nice strong flame that I can then add my kindling and my bigger logs to. And there is a very simple bow drill fire. Please subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this video.